Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. It is 5:45 in the afternoon. This is a special board meeting at Hatch Valley Public Schools. I'd like to start off with a roll call. Vice President Legarreta. Here. Member Garay.
Here.
Member Marcus.
Present.
Secretary Montes.
Here.
Myself, present. Could everybody please rise for a moment of silence in respect for Miss Carla Yaw, followed by our pledge of allegiance. Thank you. Join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, to see a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
All right, the first order on our agenda is item number 1. We have our superintendent search presentation tonight from Tom Sullivan at Education Services. So, Mr. Tom Sullivan, it is all yours.
Well, thank you, folks. It's a pleasure to be here. I'd forgotten what a pretty drive it was. But my name is Tom Sullivan. I've been involved in New Mexico education for over 50 years. I was in the Moriarty district for 20 in one stint. I ran away to Farmington for 10. I was up there as superintendent. Then served as the director of the State Superintendents Association for a number of years. Went back to Moriarty after I tried to retire and was there for another 5 years as superintendent. So I'd say all of that to illustrate that I'm old, but I have been here in New Mexico working in the education profession for a long. But anyway, been involved in a number of these projects. In fact, Linda and I just did, my colleague, Dr. Linda Paul, will introduce herself in a moment and get you started into the process tonight. But we were recently in Glen, and I don't know whether you guys are friends with your neighbors or not, but we really enjoyed doing the work for them, and I think we had a successful project with them. I hope that you've heard something of that nature.
Okay, keep going.
Well, I was going to turn it over to Dr. Paul and let her introduce herself, and then start on that agenda and work through tonight's tasks.
Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, whichever your preference is. My name is Linda Paul, and I don't have quite as distinguished a pedigree as Mr. Sullivan, but I am also a retired superintendent from Aztec, New Mexico. I've been in public education for a lot of years. And so it is a pleasure to be here today. So thank you so much for letting us be here. Is my mic okay? All right, great. So as soon as the PowerPoint comes up, we'll just go over a quick overview. I don't want to take a lot of time because many of you have seen this either at a School Boards Association conference or you read the proposal that Mr. Sullivan gave you. So I'm going to kind of skip over like what the different options are for the board because you're past that. And here we are. So just 1 second. There we go. Up. I don't have it here.
No, it would be up there.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought it was gonna.
Yeah, it's not gonna be there.
Oh, okay. I apologize. Do you see the?
Yes,
numbers?
we have a.
Wonderful, wonderful. I was worried about you all. Okay, so the elements of a good superintendent search plan are in front of you, and I won't belabor the point, but suffice it to say that there are a number of really important steps that we want to take. And the beautiful thing we think about using the New Mexico School Boards Association is that you drive it. You're the driver, we're the executor. So you're the ones that set the tone, you're the ones that set the parameters, you're the one that sets compensation, for example, and how much stakeholder involvement. You set all of those things, and then we put into motion what you all agree to. So that being said, Next slide.
They're not moving.
That's okay. Nope. Yeah.
Give me a second here. It's
Okay.
acting up a little bit. Is it? Still not.
Okay. Okay. Let me just do this from memory. What does it say? Yeah,
The elements of.
oh, GL9. Okay, so you're still on that side, so nothing is, that's okay. I wasn't sure if you guys were ahead of me or not.
Yeah, we can talk through all of those bullet points. Please don't worry about it, Mr. Campbell.
If it's not gonna work, it's fine. I'll just do it. So in a nutshell, tonight, if you want to move forward tonight, which we're prepared to do, if you guys are prepared to do. What we'd like to do is work with you on a couple of different pieces to the process that are gonna be really important. Number one, a timeline. We need to know when you want your new superintendent to be sitting in that building over there in district. So usually we start with the end and work backwards. We recommend a good 3 months for the search, but we can modify that. 1 month basically to advertise or to get everything ready and advertise, another month to have it on the street. And then another month to do the background checks, the interviews, the professional references, all of those things. And I'll talk more about that in just a moment. So we would like your timetable, your timeline, so that we can set up dates. This way, if you make some plans for the next couple of months, you know what dates we're meeting, and we can hopefully all set those aside so that we don't have to reschedule, because this fine lady in the back has to do all the advertising. So we want to give her some time to react as well. And then we're gonna ask you, again, if we move forward tonight, we're gonna ask you about where do you want to advertise? Do you want to advertise just in New Mexico? Do you want to advertise regionally, like in Texas and Arizona and Colorado, Utah, maybe? Do you want to do a national search? Do you want to advertise in national publications? So whatever you decide, we'll go ahead and execute. Now, I say that to say that the School Boards Association will absolutely post your position. And so will the New Mexico Coalition of School Leaders. And so will REAP, which is another CES vendor that will help us advertise. So those are all at no cost.
Right.
We're gonna take advantage of those and get those out of the street that way as well. You're gonna have to set their compensation packet. What are you gonna pay them? And then what kind of, and we won't need all of this tonight, but we encourage you to think about what other benefits are you willing to offer? Vehicle, phone, a vehicle allowance, phone allowance, a moving allowance, all of those things we'll talk about in due time as well. And then how do you want to involve your community? Or do you want to involve? We recommend with a district this size that you do involve your community. There's a couple ways to do that. Number one, the easiest way, quite honestly, to get the biggest response is through a survey, is through a electronic based survey. We happen to use SurveyMonkey, but we work closely with the district and with your fine technology person to get that out to everyone. And then we can sort those data to say, here's what parents are looking for, here's what staff's looking for, here's what students are looking for, if you're interested in student voice. So that's one way we can do that and present the data to you, so you get a sense of what the community is feeling. The other thing a lot of boards choose to do is invite community members to be part of an advisory committee. And I want to be clear, because we've named it very purposely, it's an advisory committee. You, seated in quorum at a legally called meeting, are the only entity that has the statutory authority to appoint a superintendent. So you can invite as many people as you want to give you their advice. And what we've done with advisory committees in the past, just to kind of give you a big picture, is we ask each board member to nominate 2 individuals if you want, or 3. We can work out those details. But let's start with 2. You nominate 2 individuals, maybe a staff member, or maybe a community member, or a staff member, and a parent. We all know that in communities this size, people wear different hats. So they may have children in the schools and they may own a business at town, or they may have children in the schools and they're a parent. So, or they may teach in the schools and they're a parent. So those kinds of things are fine. We're very used to working with those. But that advisory committee then would also, on the day of interviews, would also interview your finalists. and give you some very structured feedback on those candidates. So that when you go into executive session at the end of the day, you have their input right in front of you that very day. So we can do it that way.
We can push a few more.
So that's, that's another way to involve the community. Another way to involve the community is to do a forum or a meet the candidates.
Actually, I'm not
Or
sure.
a public meeting.
Can you go back to the first page? Maybe
Our
I
only
missed something.
caution about that is a community involvement that can get out of control very fast.
Yeah, we're
So
further
if you
in.
want to go that direction, we're happy to facilitate it. We've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. But we will ask that you allow us to facilitate it the way that we need to, so it doesn't. That's because that could happen very easily. So not a lot of boards anymore pick that. They mostly pick either the survey and an advisory committee, or the advisory committee, or a survey. That's been pretty much the popular choices of the last 2 years.
Can I just add one or two things on the advisory side? Again, depending upon district size, we've done it a number of different ways. We've had separate committees that represented staff and another that represented community members and so on. That's your decision. We've had them merged. We worked with what I'd probably describe as a micro district in New Mexico, where the board said, we don't think we need to do that because we're small enough when we were elected to make those decisions. Many other districts want to hear from their constituents. It's good public relations, frankly. But I almost forgot. We will never, Linda mentioned it's an advisory. We will emphasize that if you choose to do that, and we interact with these people, that
Go to the
that is
7-step
clearly
process.
and only their responsibility, just as Linda said. We won't let them back you into a corner
That's
where the person that you asked to, give you some input and some feedback is going to turn around and say, if you don't pick the guy I wanted or the gal I wanted, you won't be my friend anymore. We'll make sure that that kind of stuff doesn't happen. Okay, that they will know exactly what their role is and how they will communicate with you, how they felt about different candidates.
The other piece about that is we don't ask them to rank the candidates. So let's say you have 3 finalists. We don't ask them to rank, here's my first choice, here's my second choice, here's my third choice. What we ask them to do is give us feedback on those candidates. Who do you think has good communication skills? Who do you think has good public relations skills? Who do you think can handle the budget and do that ethically and with integrity? So we'll ask for feedback from the group, and we train them ahead of time. So we come down the same night usually that we meet with you to select the finalists. We will also meet with the advisory committee and put them through an orientation. This way they know upfront what the expectations are, what the time requirements, what the process is going to be. So if they don't want to participate, they have plenty of time to let us know, and then we can sub them out with somebody who is willing.
And again, if you're inclined to do that, we would ask you by an agreed upon date to give us that contact information. And we would then send out a letter to them, thanking them on your behalf, giving them a brief outline of what their role would be, and inviting them to that orientation meeting that Linda was describing.
Right. Again, entirely up to you. You call the shot on that one. But if you do go with an advisory committee, those are the steps that we'd like to follow. The day of the interview is an intense day. We start fairly early in the morning. You call yourselves into session. We go ahead and go into executive session. Then you interview the candidate. The advisory committee interviews the candidate. We usually have a writing prompt that we ask them to respond to. So they do some writing that day. And then we serve lunch to everyone, thank everyone, and they all go home, and Tom and you and I meet and help facilitate the selection if you feel like you're ready to do that. So that's the kind of the end, the last piece. I kind of skipped ahead on the slide. So we've talked about the initial work session, that's tonight. Staff and community engagement, again, you choose it. Promotional materials, and I believe that you have a sample of Bloomfields in front of you that we did a couple of years ago for Bloomfield schools. We set it up as a trifold. You're it, you've got that. We set it up as a trifold, but you don't have to trifold it. But anyway, We put information about the district, we put your pictures, we put your scenery, all of those good things will be personalized to Hatch. Then we advertise the position based on where your interests lie. We'll advertise the position, and then we manage all the applications. So we set up a designated email address. It will probably be Hatch Valley Superintendent at outlook.com. Tom and I monitor that account. This way, nothing gets lost in somebody's inbox or gets lost in their email. So we will manage all of those. We check to make sure they're complete, they're accurate, they're signed, you know, all of the bits and bytes. We
That
do
we
all
have a release from them that we can do background checks on them and so on.
Yes, absolutely. And they know what's coming. Okay, they know how we're going to do the background checks, which brings me to number 5, and that is the background checks themselves. Starting about 6 months ago, we engaged another partner called True Diligence, which is a company out of Colorado that specializes in background checks. And so, I mean, the world is evolving, as you well know, is evolving much faster than Tom or I can
Just real
keep up
quickly,
with it.
we're talking about legal kinds of things, not references. There's quite a difference between what we're talking about in background checks versus
Right.
references.
So the company, what the company does, what we outsource to the company is True Diligence looks at criminal history backgrounds in all 50 states. They look at driving records, they look at arrest records, they look at a variety of different things, and I can give you more information about that as time goes on. Doesn't mean that any of that information will necessarily disqualify the candidate, but we want you to be aware of their background. And then Mr. Sullivan and I personally do the reference checks where we talk to colleagues, we talk with people we know and trust, school board members and retired superintendents and practicing superintendents and the postman and everybody else. But we tend not to call the people that the candidate gives us. We rely a lot on our own networks because I've never written a bad recommendation. I don't know about you. But
I've never read a bad letter of recommendation, so.
So we still ask them to do that because it gives you another viewpoint on their strengths, but we'd much rather talk with people that have firsthand experience working with them. And the question that we usually ask of the background or the reference check people is there anything in this person's background that would embarrass the board? Because we all know, we all make mistakes and that's fine, but we want you to get ahead of it if it's out there. We want you to know.
Exhaustive is that background check piece?
It's pretty, since we've outsourced it, it's amazing. It's wonderful. And I'll be happy to share information about True Diligence with you, but our experience with them has been first class. And the other thing that I like is that I'm not the middleman. The candidate, whoever that finalist is, works directly with True Diligence. This way, I don't get their social security number. I don't get their driver's license number. I don't want the responsibility for sharing that or storing that. So they work directly with the company. They sign all the releases. They know what's going to happen. And I put that in the application. So they know up front that we're using a third party and that they're okay with that. So they check the sex offender registries. They check, what else? Like I said, arrest records, civil suits. I mean, they really do quite an exhaustive background search. If by any chance the candidates are from out of the country, like let's say they've been working in Mexico or they've been working in Finland at a Department of Defense school, if there's somebody with an international background, our company has the capacity to do that too. I don't pay for it up front because we don't get a lot of candidates, but they have that capacity if we need some international reference checking or background checking as well. So after we're satisfied with the background, of course, we bring all that information to you on interview day so that you have that complete picture of that particular individual. And then again, I went over the interview process there. And then it's up to you. Then the board meets and decides, is there a winner here? Is there a new superintendent in this pool? And if the answer is yes, what we will ask that you do is let's call that person while we're in executive session before we go out into public and announce it. Just in case they've changed their mind or they don't want the position. Unfortunately, I did do that once where I sat with a board, they offered the position and the individual turned them down. So I learned my lesson, and you're not formally offering them the position until you act on it in open session, but it gives you an idea about whether they're still interested or not. Now they've just come and interview, so that's not a regular thing. But if it can happen, it does happen. So I like to protect against that. And then once you hire the superintendent, then it's the ball's back in your court and you continue on. We do provide, Mr. Sullivan and I do provide additional services after that if you want somebody to facilitate a board retreat, let's say, so you can work closely with the new superintendent. If you want someone to help facilitate superintendent evaluation goals, those kinds of things we can talk about later, but that's outside the scope of this work. This work is basically to take you from tonight, if you choose to move forward with us, from tonight all the way through your board meeting where you offer the position and the position's accepted. And then we say, thanks.
Just to follow up on that, if Linda mentioned earlier that sometimes this process can take up to 3 months. We have accelerated that timeline on a number of occasions. We could probably do it in more like 8, but
Weeks,
8
not
weeks.
months.
So how we might do that in terms of pushing things more quickly really depends upon how quickly you would want somebody to be here. Is it January 1 or as soon as possible? Not January 1, whatever the day would be coming back from the holidays, or is it by Thanksgiving? You're going
Or
to need
is it July 1?
Yeah, you're going to need to let us know that because, and it's your decision whether you let us know or not. It's not the ideal time. We got to be honest with you. I mean, school just started. If somebody, unless they're a quality retiree that still has juice, somebody who is willing or able to leave their district at the beginning of the school year, I'd have some questions about. But if I talked to their superintendent, and this did happen with us once, and the person told me, did a great job. We endorse their opportunity to move ahead, and we'll be fine because we've got people coming up in the pipeline. But I got to be honest with you, the timing is not great for right now. I think I had asked Mr. Gonzalez when we were on the phone if there was anybody internally that would be able to bridge you to that better time on a calendar to be doing the search. And I think you said you didn't feel that that was the case right now. So, but at any rate, any quick questions on that? Because what we'd really like to do is get you guys thinking about the materials that we would embed in this application process, and including developing something like that neat brochure. By the way, you guys can sell yourself, although there isn't any water in Elephant Butte. So Navajo Lake looks like it's still doing all right, but Bloomfield could publicize, near skiing, near a lake. You guys got a lake when it has water. You got the Gila Wilderness. You've got an airport, a state university. There's a lot to recommend you guys. Not just the hilly chili capital of the world. No. At any rate, what we would like to do is try to fill out that timeline with you, and to do so, it's the most important thing is develop the material that we're going to use to promote you and attract candidates. And that requires you to make some decisions about a number of things. Lynn touched on those, whether it's the salary range, whether it's the, what was I going to say? The skills and characteristics that you expect them to exhibit. The qualifications, there's a difference between qualifications and characteristics. We're going to ask you guys in about 5 minutes, how many years of teaching experience do you think a superintendent should have? How many years of principalship experience do you think a superintendent should have? A minimum of X or not, no more, whatever. And the reason I say that that's important is because as a superintendent, I know if I hadn't been a principal, my principals weren't going to think highly of me. They're your lieutenants if you're the superintendent, your campus administrators or any other administrative job. And if you haven't walked in their shoes and they're not going to, buy into what you've got to say, it's going to be a problem. So you will want to work that into the advertisement expectations.
Okay, I want to just stop there for a second because you have an agenda. And number two on the agenda is consider approval of the proposal from Mr. Sullivan. So again, I want to keep us legal. That's part of our job too, is to make sure that this whole process stays within the lines and that, everything is done legally.
I think I have extra copies, but I had sent that to Mr. Gonzalez earlier, and I'm not sure whether that was forwarded. I have extras if that,
The proposal, our proposal to do business with you, basically.
I like to take a copy of it.
So I guess our first question is, are you ready to act on that tonight? If you're not ready to act on that tonight, then we'll need to reschedule. But because anything from here on out is going to be working towards that goal. So you're the school board, you call the shot on that one.
this is what we're
Do
referring
any
to,
of you have
folks.
any questions for them?
As we move forward with this proposal, I know we had talked with our manager the last time about a purchase order. So if we do move forward, do we have to have something like that in place first?
Do we have to have what? I'm sorry.
Purchase order or something to move forward or?
We will trust you. If the board
Oh,
takes action,
okay.
if the board takes action tonight and you tell us that you want to move forward, we'll
we
trust you.
Starting some of the
Okay.
work. this
But if
year?
you're considering other candidates, and you can, other search firms, and you can, we're not saying please don't, we're saying if you've got others to consider and you want to, put the proposals side by side, that's entirely up to you. But if you're ready to move, we'd love to move because we're ready to go to work. But we're not pressuring you. You guys decide if you want to move forward with us, great. If you don't, then let's reschedule and we'll do this another time.
What is the cost for this?
13.
Not to exceed, right? So that could be.
Yeah,
less.
the one thing I would, I probably misworded it at the bottom. The 13,000 is going to be plus tax or things that are pass-throughs, like that advertisement that Linda was speaking about. If you chose to buy an advertisement with, let's say, the American Association of School Journal, school superintendent, that would be a pass-through. But the base, if you didn't want anything else, like we just used the freebies and there was no printing cost. The freebies being, CES, the School Boards Association, the coalition and so forth. But those pass-throughs, and if I've neglected to make that clear, I apologize. I think I've mentioned that to Mr. Gonzalez.
So other than that, you don't pay for travel, you don't pay for hotels, you don't pay for food. The $13,000 is a fixed price. So that
Due
includes,
diligence included with that, right? For that service, it's not a pass through either.
no,
Due
it's not.
diligence, it's
No,
part of
we absorb that. We absorb that. So the only things that are passed through are the advertisements, print advertisements, copying. But you know what? You have an amazing dynamo in the back of this room who I love already, and I've just met her. So I'm thinking that we're going to work very well together. And so this way copies can be made within the district and prepared for you and prepared for your advisory committee. The more we can use district resources, then it's not an additional expense. But as far as our professional services, the background checks, the reference checks, the travel to and from here, the placement of the ads in the other places, all of that's included. Phone calls from you guys, phone calls from between the two of us, calling Ms. Ramirez and making sure that the room is ready, and all of those things are included in the flat fee.
And like Survey Monkey, I know that's usually free.
Yes.
You guys would set that up.
Yeah.
Interview questions. You guys
Yes.
With that.
Yes.
And if again, you choose to use an advisory group, we will work with them to develop their sets of questions. They may be different from yours. You're viewing things from a bigger picture than maybe a teacher that had an encounter of some kind. So there will be a different set of questions developed as well.
But we will facilitate all of that. And we have hundreds of sample questions to give you. Sometimes you just need a little primer to kind of get your brain going. And so we do that with your advisory committee if you choose that, as well as the board. So yes, all of that's included. So is, like I said, all our reference checks and background checks.
Any discussion?
Is everybody in agreement to?
Did,
And we can step out of the room if you want us to.
I have a question.
Want to?
Did you ask anybody else to present or is this? the
I
one
reached
everybody-
out, I reached out to two others and no one responded. Yeah. I would be willing to tonight. Well,
And I feel comfortable with the New Mexico School Board Association. I mean,
yeah,
like,
we worked.
Yeah.
we work closely with them and.
Yeah, I've worked with Mr. Guillen for probably 20 plus years.
The good guy.
Absolutely.
100%, yes.
It's a trusted entity in my opinion.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to consider approval of the proposal before us?
So moved.
Second,
Has been moved and seconded to consider approval of the proposal from Tom Sullivan, DBA Education Services. We'll do a roll call vote on this. Vice President Legareta,
aye.
Member Garay,
Yes,
Member Marcus.
Aye.
Secretary Montes,
Aye.
and myself is I. Motion carries.
Thank you
We
very
will
much.
go in conflict.
And please feel free to call Mr. Guillen and say, are these new for real? You're more than welcome to. And you get both of us, by the way. Tom is the fiscal agent for this group, or for this work, but we will work hand in glove together. So you get two of us. All right.
Linda
with
is
that,
the
we're ready to-
technology expert, that the kind of document that you saw is her handiwork. I happen to know a lot of people. And in my past role, I worked with the directors of state associations in the nearby states. So there's one quick example. A very respected, recently retired superintendent from the southeast part of the state. We were doing a search and a candidate jumped out at the paperwork. On paper sounded great, but I saw the person who worked in this district. I called that person and the person says, worst mistake I ever made. I wouldn't hire him again to pick up, you know what, in my yard. So immediately, like I say, we don't always pay attention to what we see in writing from the candidate if we can find ways to get to the real bottom of the story.
And again, we'll keep you legal. We don't ask questions that are off the wall or inappropriate, but we do want to get as much information for you as possible so that when you're faced with this incredibly important decision, you'll have as much information as humanly possible to make that decision. I'm going to move over there so I'm not behind your back.
So I guess now that we've decided to go with this firm for the search, what information do you need from us?
Well, let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you all have a
PBA stand for again?
Doing business.
having
as.
business as, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do you all have a copy of this list of 10 skills that are considered pretty much accepted nationally as the types of skills that
Should be
superintendents
behind
of
the
schools
agenda for
should be
today.
able to exhibit? If you don't have that with you, I have extras. Now, all 10 of them are significant. You would really want to have a candidate that could demonstrate some skills and ability in every one of those areas. But then you'd have to add a number 11, walks on water, in their spare time. They're going to have different strengths, different areas, but you want to see if they're going to match what you think are most important in Hatch now. And best example I can give you to illustrate that was working in a district who were losing their superintendent and retirements, both superintendent and business manager, on June 30th. You think financial skills was going to be high on that school board's list of, boy, somebody better know what they're doing here. But did that matter to the teacher in the classroom? Maybe not. So we want to find out what you know about your situation in your community right now, and what would be the best skill set to meet those needs. So with that in mind, I'm going to give you folks an index card. And I can give you 3 index cards if you want, but we can certainly talk about that list of skills if you want any kind of an elaboration on it. But I'll tell you two interesting things. In the last year, almost every board has had high on their list integrity and values. We never saw that before. And suddenly it's popping up everywhere. Then we worked with another district. Nobody thought that technology was an issue. Very proud of their technology department. So that wasn't going to be in the application. We weren't going to say you have to be a technology wizard. Now, has that changed with AI or, anything else? Maybe. But what I would like you guys to do is look at that list of 10 and each of you tell us, independent of one another, we're not going to discuss it right now, which of those 10, 3 of that list you think are most important in Hatch, New Mexico on August 20th, 2025. What do you want a candidate to have strongest to address what you are going to tell me?
We put that on the next card or? Oh.
Yeah, just give us 3 numbers, because we all have the list.
We want to use red on the whiteboard because the patch colors.
Aha.
I'm gonna use red because it's the color for Hatch.
You don't want 4?
I'll sell you a 4th vote for $1.
Okay, you want to start reading to me?
I do have a couple here.
Okay.
Number 1, which is finance. Well, actually, it's not on our list, but no, we have a number 1.
Okay.
Now, wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm following this right.
I put them at my priorities as 1, 2, and 3. I didn't
Okay.
have those numbers. That's.
Okay.
Okay,
That's all right.
then I
Sorry about
misunderstood. No, that's okay. So we have finance, instructional leadership, and integrity and values. Okay, thank you, sir. Integrity and values again. So there's 2. Personnel management. And you know what? I'm going to wait until I have the others and I'm going to do this so people won't know what the other person said. And instructional leadership on that one.
Another one? Okay.
Integrity and values, instructional leadership, and communication. And now I have a instructional leadership, communication, and finance. And is there
Starting to see a pattern.
is there a 5th? Did I? Oh, they're gonna know what you wanted now.
Trust me.
Sorry about that. I should have waited, huh?
That's all right. I'll tell you. Yeah.
He doesn't hold back, I guess, huh? Integrity and values, safety and security, and instructional leadership.
All right, I see a pattern. How about you?
Well, there are only 6 items. 2 got only 1 mention, 2 got 2 mentions, and 2 got a bunch of mentions. How do you read that? Certainly the emphasis is on instructional leadership and integrity and values, so we're going to incorporate that into the advertisement.
I look at it and I think communication, and what I was thinking of with communication, it's not just communicating with the community, but it's communicating with the personnel in the schools, it's communicating with the board, it's communicating with the students. It's that having that open communication that's gonna help build those personnel, that culture within the school. And that, I think personnel relations and communications can kind of go hand in hand.
and I'll put it out there, I did put communication as well. as
You
a
know-
plus, because if you don't communicate, you can't get nothing done.
No.
Nothing gets done.
Well, you guys are right on point, and we use the term communication systems, so we're not just saying, can the person speak well? You want to know how they're using technology, what they do when they're interacting with, people at a ball game. There's a whole range of things in a communication system. You said with the staff, maybe, how do you get involved with the parents, with the staff, with the community leaders? All of those can be different. Is there a chamber of commerce? Is your superintendent on the board of any of these local organizations? All of those things are part of a communication system. You want that person to be the face of the district. How is that person going to represent you if they don't communicate?
Because I was thinking about the finance. As a school board, that is something that we are responsible for.
The budget is
The
yours.
budget, yes.
Mhm.
And if this person doesn't understand budget, finance, then we're also in trouble. I just feel like that's.
Do you have a veteran business manager, finance director?
Do you? Do you have?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
If,
Okay.
well, that all depends. If she decides to stay or not, it'd be wonderful, but if not, what happens? Yeah, I mean, like,
No, I understand
Right now, we
completely.
have a very-
we have a very strong person, very wonderful, strong.
Well,
And I mean,
So
that's the scary part.
if we combine communication with personnel management,
we could still have finance and have 4 items as
Right.
points of emphasis.
so we have 1 through 4 basically.
Sorry,
on your
mind your
list.
way, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
So 1 through 4 on your list, if you're okay with that, and we'll do communication plus personnel management, because you're right, there's communication to be done with the staff as well as with the community and with students and everything
And
else.
if we jump ahead quickly in your minds to the interview day, there will be questions that will get enough information out to both you and any advisory group that will address all of these. It's the point of emphasis, whether we're going to have multiple questions so that you can really hear what they know about X, Y, or Z. But they'll touch on everything because, as we say, an effective leader in this day and age has to have all of those to some degree.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to just knock it down to 3 or even
100%,
Well,
yes, I couldn't agree more.
I see multiple that
Right. But
they need to.
we will still get to we'll make them demonstrate their knowledge in all areas, I guess is what
Correct.
I'm trying to say, if that makes sense, sir.
Yes, sir.
But as we advertise, as we create your marketing materials, these are the first 4 is what we're kind of lead with.
Okay.
And then fill in with interview questions and background check questions, because this guides our background work as well. How are they in finance? What was the last audit look like? What did the last audit look like in your district? So we will get those questions answered through the interview and through background checks.
You do credit checks as well?
Yes.
On there.
Well, I take that back. I can do credit checks on them. True Diligence does do credit checks. I don't want responsibility for storing those credit checks. And so I've gone back and forth with the company because I don't want to have responsibility for them. And so once they're completed and sent to us, so I can work on that, is what I'm saying.
That's a big thing too.
Oh, sure. If they're going to be responsible for a multi-million-dollar budget, I'd like to know that they can handle their own finances for sure. So we'll work on that.
Okay, well, let's talk about experience. Not just qualifications in term, well, I started talking this with you a little bit. How many years of teaching experience? There's a minimum to get an administrative license. You can exceed that.
I know probably back in the day when I got my administrative license, I think you had to have 6 years of teaching experience before you could even apply. Am I right, Richard?
I thought it was 3.
Now it's
You thought
3, 3 or 4.
So,
yeah.
so I'm gonna probably say that the majority of the candidates that we're going to get are gonna be probably closer to our age. Because I don't see 20-year-olds becoming superintendents.
No, no.
Anytime soon.
Yeah,
So, I mean-
they've got to be a level 3 teacher
Yeah,
for a
level
certain
3
number of
teacher.
years before they can get their administrative degree.
I think
I-
minimum 5.
I like
Of
that.
administrative,
No, you're talking about
experience.
teaching now. We'll get to administrative.
Teaching.
but can you become administrator without being?
No, but how many years of teaching? You can set your own number.
Yeah,
Oh,
if
no.
if you're
A
saying that
minimum
at
of-
3 years, you could
To-
just,
to-
you get your administrators, right? At 3 years?
Right. Oh, I wasn't even thinking of looking at teaching. If they're have 5 years or more in administration, they must be doing something, right? They're not, you know what I mean? If they're in there, if they've been there unless they had 5 and all of a sudden they went back or did something else. I didn't think about teaching experience.
We'd like
that-
to list it
Okay,
because
Say
it's another way to
minimum 5
get
years
back,
teaching experience.
minimum of 5 years. I like that, and I'll tell you why. We had a district that listed 8, and then their favorite candidate had 7. And we wound up on the phone during lunch with their attorney, asking the attorney, "Well, can they do this anyway?" And the attorney said, "You're the board, you can," but it was an awkward
so we're
situation.
saying 5 years.
I would say.
Minimum
Let's-
5 years.
Minimum of
let's say
5.
There's a principal or somebody out there that's had 3 years teaching experience in the last 12 years administrative experience. They're still administrators, so they wouldn't count. You throw them up because they don't have
I
5 years.
wouldn't say they would qualify if we wrote the application this way.
In New Mexico, you're gonna have to have 5, I believe, but the
Okay.
reason that we've set a minimum is because New Mexico recognizes the certificates that other people bring into the state, because our ad is gonna say, possess or be eligible for a New Mexico administrative license. So if they're coming in from out of state, New Mexico recognizes these things. Maybe the other state didn't have a 5-year requirement.
So 5 years teaching experience.
I mean, an administrative experience, I don't even know, because,
Linda,
well,
why don't you talk to them about administrative experience a little bit?
Absolutely. So I think that 5 is a good number, honestly, for administrative experience too.
Mhm.
And that could be, depending on how we wordsmith this, that could be 5 years at the building level or 5 years at the central office level or a combination of the two. Like Mr. Sullivan said, I really like to see principal experience on their resume because they've been in that, and that's where the work happens, is at our schools. And so I like seeing that that principal experience there. But you also have some really great up and coming administrators that may have only been an administrator for 5 years, and they're ready. You know, we all know those people in our worlds that are just ready early. And so I think 5 years kind of strikes that balance between we want someone who has some experience under their belt. They've had the keys before. They know where to do, how to do things and how to deal with people. And yet they're not like, we want 15 years experience as an administrator. I don't know that 15 years are going to give you any more experience than 5 years does.
Is a vice principal considered administrative?
I was just gonna get to that. That's a great question. And we have looked at things, because different districts even use different terminology. They might call somebody the dean of students, but they could very well be the equivalent of an assistant principal. One of the reasons we're willing to accept assistant principal is we'll probably phrase it campus level administrative experience, and maybe central offices are preferred. But going back to your question, in a larger district, I'll give you an example, Rio Rancho High School, 2,000 kids. They may have 4 assistant principals, but each of them is assigned a grade level, and they're responsible for all of the teachers, the budget, and all kinds of other things within that grade level. That might be more responsibility than somebody had plenty of other places. So, we don't want to exclude somebody if their 5 years included some assistance, because it may be really wow you experience. Is that okay with you guys?
Are you comfortable with the 5 years? So 5 years teaching, 5 years administrator. And the administrative can be a combination of
central
campus
office.
and central office. Is that okay? Got it. All right, number 3.
What about any preferred requirements? Bilingual?
Bilingual, I would love bilingual.
Bilingual.
Make it a preferred,
Or-
okay?
And in this area, I know when we say bilingual, it'd be English and Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're spot on, because there's people in this state that speak other
Yes,
languages.
you know what I'm
Sure,
saying? So
sure.
it's necessary.
I will specify that.
And
Yes.
I was telling somebody earlier, it might have been Elsa, but I watched you guys meeting last week and the presentation on how your campuses are going to deal with any legal issues. If there are, somebody wants to come on campus, and I thought you guys did a great job. I hope I meet that individual, because it's clear that you guys have a unique situation and have thought through it very, very well.
All right, so I'd like to, if there's anything else you can think of, please let me know, but I'd like to kind of segue over to timeline. So when do you want a new superintendent in
Before
place?
we get there,
Of course.
they need to live in the district.
I agree.
They need to live in the district.
And I agree with that, and some way somehow that, and we could talk about that, but providing them housing instead of them having to go and look for housing. If we're gonna make that expectation, we have to at least have somewhere, I know we used to have that in the past. You would have a place for the superintendent to live.
Do you have any teachers?
Teachers, I
In-
don't
in-
know if that ever came to fruition, I'm not sure.
We're still working.
It's
Yeah,
coming
Yeah,
through.
it's-
but-
we did vote on it, on the. for the
Yeah, I
teacher.
did, but I don't know if they're up and running yet.
No, we voted on it
Get it going.
and it's
It's in the works.
in
But I
the
know
works.
the.
And it doesn't exist right now.
No,
Is that what you're telling us? Okay, all right, that's
Help
fine.
on the
housing is an issue in the valley.
Okay,
Yes, so that's.
And I do agree with you.
Yeah, so do I, they need to live.
And that could be one of the, because I think we're doing 4 or 3.
however many you want.
No, houses that we're bringing into the district
I see.
for teacher housing.
I'm sorry.
Right.
We're bringing in 3,
I thought we were starting with the.
We're starting with 3.
and so we, that's something that can be,
That could be
Discuss.
part of their.
Compensation.
Hurt compensation.
right.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
But for what it's worth, Deming had the same expectation. They said, if you're going to be the face of our community, you're going to be the face of our community.
Yes.
And they had applicants or people in the past that were coming in from cruises, and they didn't want to do that any longer. I'm hearing the same thing from you guys.
Is it safe to say, because of the housing situation in the valley, is it safe to say if they press us on it, the board would like residency within a year? Or do you want residency before they even begin? I'm just trying to think about people with families.
Say a cushion, I would
Yeah.
give them.
I would say,
Yes, I
because
think that
we
should
should
be it.
be,
At least a 6-month minimum cushion, I would say. Maybe
Okay.
you could push it to a year,
Good.
but at least give them that opportunity.
give him that opportunity to look.
Or is that something?
I think
those will be places.
Thinking a year,
Think so?
6 months, but to move in the middle of a school year, real
It's hard.
to pack up and try to get.
Especially if they have kids.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
In a full school year, that should give them enough time.
Exactly. So thank you. I just wanted a little grace for them so that they're not starting a new job, finding a house, disrupting their family all in the same week. They give them a minute, they can personally come here. I mean, Mr. Sullivan has done it. Many of us have done it where we move, the superintendent moves and lives in an apartment or a trailer or their travel trailer or whatever. But the expectation is within a year, then the family is here and they have a house and all those things.
It
There
was
are-
the same situation. In fact, I was hired in Farmington in October. My kids were already in school, so I rented a place in Farmington and went up 4 o'clock Monday morning and came home late Friday and into Albuquerque at the time. But
So
Yeah.
it's.
it was the
done.
next year
I would
before I
personally
was
like to see
physically
something
living. in
along the
Farmington.
lines of a cushion even further, like within 10 miles of district boundaries or something like that, because you can find a house in Array.
Oh, that's right.
That's very close to Hatch, but it's
Within-
outside of district
or part,
boundaries
yeah.
or on the other side of Two Counties Road
That's.
is Sierra County, so it's off out of our district,
Right,
but it's
right,
right
right.
there.
This
Yeah.
doesn't have to be addressed in the advertisement.
Okay.
We can get into that as you interview. And certainly if you get down to somebody that you're serious about, you can make that even more clear.
Okay.
And oftentimes candidates or potential candidates will call, because we put our phone numbers and everything. And so they'll call and they'll say, What does the board feel about residency? And so I like knowing it up front because I can be honest with them and I can say, the board wants you to live in the district. Do you have to live in the district on day one? You know, if you can show a good faith effort that you're moving to the district, that you're serious about looking for a home, you're serious about moving your family, et cetera, the board will work with you, but that's their expectation. And so I personally like having this information up front so that I can talk about that, because if it's a no-go, you know, if the candidate says, absolutely not, my kid's a junior, I need to spend one more year so they can graduate, we all want to know up front. And then I can say to them, well, let me run it by the board. If you're the successful candidate, you know, we'll ask if they'll work with you. So it just helps me behind the scenes be honest with people so that you get the candidate that you want.
So what do we do? We do 6 months to a year? What do we?
She said we don't have to.
You don't have to give me specifics, as long as I know that you're not like,
Yeah.
they have
Not
to
today.
be here, right?
Not today.
Thank you. As long as I know you,
Yeah.
and it just comes down to some grace, that's all. We want both good faith effort on both parts. You're gonna be working together, hopefully for years and years, and so we want to get this off on the right foot. And I just think that honesty is the best policy, and let them know that is your expectation. But again, we'll give them some grace if there's some
I'm
extenuating.
pretty sure that question will come up
I do.
during interviews.
That's
Oh,
exactly,
100%.
that's the best time.
Oh,
for it to
yeah,
come.
absolutely. So we'll be ready on interview day to have that more in-depth conversation. And this way, if there are extenuating circumstances, you get to choose and decide whether that's, you know, you're weighing all of those pieces.
And you could use a teacherage to bridge.
Yes.
You still have the expectation that they're going to be here. They can't walk away from it like they could from a teacherage, as an example. But, you know, we'll provide the teacherage, but by X date, we expect you to be formally living here. Something of that nature, we can certainly work with you guys on.
All right. Are we good to go to timeline?
Yes.
Excellent. When do you want the new superintendent here?
Can we help that? Can we help the timeline? I mean, is it possible to set a date?
No,
You mean for the
does-
person to start work?
Yeah, cause it takes
Yeah,
it takes a while.
Well,
That's what she was saying. We're looking 3 months out. Are we looking January, June?
Or you're
Okay,
looking 12
one-
months out, right?
You know what I mean?
I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know whether you want a superintendent this school year or you want a school superintendent next school year. I mean,
I mean, I would say the furthest
Before the first
is
semester.
January.
Before January.
what's the day back from the holidays?
sorry, I'll put January 1 for now, but I'll look it up.
Okay.
I'll look up your calendar and I'll find that exact date. So what I'm hearing is you want that person here and working the first day of the second semester or the first day after the holidays in Christmas, New
Or
Year's.
sooner if possible.
Or sooner if possible.
Okay.
If possible.
We can do that.
Does that work for you folks?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Got it. Thank you. So then what I will, let's talk a little bit about interview day. First of all, are your schools on a 4-day school week or a 5-day school week?
5 days.
5-day, okay. We are very comfortable doing interviews on a Saturday, especially if you do use an advisory committee and have teachers on it. This way we're not pulling teachers out of classrooms. And frankly, we're not pulling parents and community members out of work. Maybe we are, because if they're in retail, they work all the time. But we're open to Saturdays is what we're trying to say, so that it minimizes the impact on your subs. But that being said, we're open to any day except Sunday.
What I can
Most
tell
people
you-
won't show up on Sunday.
So
I have never had somebody say, gee, I can't do that for the school board because it's on a Saturday.
Yeah.
You know,
Never.
even if they have to get permission from their employer, the employer is almost always, you're going to do this for the schools, go for it. But Saturday is really a good day.
What do you think?
And it's a long day, so it's hard to squeeze it into anything else.
Saturday.
myself, Saturday would be fine.
Any concerns with a Saturday?
No.
So what I would suggest then is if we're able to get this posted by next Friday, the 29th of August, because it'll take us a few days to get the promotional materials and we like to have everything ready to go so those eager beavers that show up right at the start.
Well,
can have
we're
the
going to want
signature.
something from you guys. It's on the end of the agenda, but
Yeah, pictures, logos.
you know, we want to
those
involve,
things.
if you've got some kids that are in a graphic arts class, graphic arts
Love
class,
to use them.
love to keep them involved. You want to have pictures of kids in activities, and the logo, all of that good stuff that we want to do for you, like Linda had done for Bloomfield, just as an example.
And I've used students before. I did that in another small district. I worked with the graphics arts teacher, and she and I went back and forth. I gave her the information. The kids put it into an amazing document for us. So I have zero problems working with kids. That's why I got into this business 100 years ago,
But-
was to work with kids. So it's a treat for me. But that being said, we will not allow anything to go out with your name on it unless it's professional and proofed and ready to go. So you always have a set of adult eyes. So if we could think about maybe the month of September as the month where the position is advertised and is out on the street, then what if we were to close the applications on October 3rd? That gives everybody a good month to get all their ducks in a row, get all their paperwork together, get it into us, all that good stuff. And then we'd look to meet with you then the week of maybe October 13th. And that still gives plenty of time to do after that. When we meet on the week of the 13th, if that's all right with you, then we will select the finalists then. And then after we select the finalists, we ask for 2 more weeks so that we can do the background checks, the reference checks, all of that work then.
And if the
after.
person's coming from out of state, just to make sure that that person has the opportunity to
Make
plan
the
the trip and involve family if need be, something of that nature. Leading up to the interviews, one of the things that we have done are different types of meet and greets. Either just maybe just with the advisory group, if we're using one again, in the morning, just an informal kind of thing. We've also done it more formally in an auditorium setting where you can observe candidates responding to questions. We would structure that setting too, so that we knew what the questions were in advance. We knew that they weren't going to be in violation of any, Office of Civil Rights things, or the last thing we want you guys to hear are EEOC or OCR. And I thought Mr. Gonzalez knows what I'm talking about.
So does Mr. Marcus, probably everybody does.
And I know you said something about out of state, but we haven't even
Gotten there
talked
yet.
about that,
No,
right?
Yeah.
that's okay. But just in case,
Okay.
I mean, even if we advertise it just within New Mexico, there are people that are looking for jobs in New Mexico. And so they're keeping an eye on local publications. They're hitting the School Boards Association site periodically. So even if we don't advertise out of state, we may get some out of state
And when do we
candidates.
start talking about that? Like we're kind of setting parameters of experience and all that, like, when do we start thinking about, do we want somebody from out of state or want somebody from?
Very
New
soon,
Mexico?
I promise,
Okay,
very soon.
okay.
Let me just finish the timeline real quick
Oh,
and then we'll dive into that deeply. So if we allow the whole month of January, I'm sorry, what am I saying? The whole month of September for it to be advertised, we meet the board and Mr. Sullivan and I the week of the 13th, and you can tell me which day of the week works for you. And then the next logical date for me would be November 1st for the interviews, but that's the day after a day after Halloween. And so I don't know if that's a big thing in Hatch, whether a lot of the kids and parents and families celebrate, or do you think that would be an okay? It's also All Souls Day.
I don't know, does anybody drop money for that weekend?
No, not for that
Okay.
weekend, but
But you could also run into the situation where you have a candidate that has young children.
That's true, too.
Um,
The safest would be to push it one more week to the
Okay.
8th, to November 8th. That would be the all-around safest, but we serve at the pleasure of the board. So you tell us when you want to interview.
And back to the question about finance, New Mexico's finance system is unique. Around the country, it's typically based on local property taxes. New Mexico is 95% funded through the state and then back out to the district. But doesn't preclude somebody who hasn't worked in New Mexico from learning and researching it, which is one of the other things we want to emphasize. our questions aren't going to ever look like, as you know, we have a problem with X. How would you address this? Maybe they didn't know you had a problem with X, whether it was dropout or, you know, whatever. We want them to have done their research. We're not going to prompt them to how you're expecting them to answer by giving them that information. I don't know if that helps or not, but so with the question of finance, for example, you know, we're not going to prompt, we're not going to give them a cue as, you know, the district's concerned about finances, but we might ask them, you know, can you please explain your knowledge of the New Mexico finance system, including operational and capital budgets? Have they done their research? Do they know that? No.
The 8th would be fine with me
That
of November.
looks good for me.
Okay, then let's look at the week of October 13th. Forgive me, I don't know your regular board meetings. Are they the second, the third?
Second Wednesday?
Second Wednesday? Okay, so the second Wednesday of October is the 15th. So would you like, you need some lead time too, because we send you.
Would be October the 8th is our next, would be our board meeting.
Oh,
But we
You're
wouldn't
right.
want to do this on a regular board meeting because it'll take a
No.
lot of time.
exactly.
Okay.
That's why I was trying to figure out, my apologies. You're absolutely right. How about the 15th, Wednesday, the 15th, October 15th?
It looks like Wednesdays are pretty good for you folks. If you were here last Wednesday and now you're here again tonight.
So does that work?
For me, that will work. But
And the interviews, we're going to go with the 8th. Is that consent? Is there consensus for that?
Yes.
yes,
So 10, 15. So we would ask, please, to block off those days for this work. So we'll come down again on the, for an evening meeting on the 10th. I'm sorry, on the 15th. And then we'll come back for the interviews, of course. So that'll be our trips. And if we can, if you want to use an advisory committee, we'd like to try to do the orientation at the same time. So, great. That's exciting. Okay. Back to the advertisement and the expectations and all those good things. Talk to me a little bit, Mr. Marquez, about what you're thinking about with in-state, out-of-state.
Well, I mean, just guess some prejudice, but being from the state of New Mexico and working in public school for the last 30 years in New Mexico, I just feel that it would be beneficial for that person to be from the state of New Mexico and have worked in our public schools and understands the things that we deal with on a regular basis. It's just my opinion.
We could put in-state residency preferred, or I'll have to think about.
Or to have,
on how to-
no,
But there are also people who are very quick learners
no, yeah.
and have done really good work in similar communities in other states that their skill set would translate nicely into New Mexico. But again, it's entirely up to you.
I'll tell you, I wouldn't be as comfortable with somebody who hadn't been a superintendent in another state trying to come to New Mexico and learn some of those
Maybe
things.
that was.
But if they've
that was
been-
in my mouth.
Yeah, if they've been
From
you
Texas,
know,
came from Texas, maybe, because she didn't have superintendent
Yeah, if-
experience, that just
right.
put the bad taste in my mouth, I guess.
And that's why I was
Okay.
questioning. I was trying to get to the issue, and it sounds like it's, if they were a superintendent in another state.
State,
But if they're coming in as the former high school principal
Or
or
even
former
working at
director of
Federal Office,
instruction at the
19.
central office,
Yeah.
that might not cut it, but they may be able to demonstrate that they have all the knowledge you want.
Okay. So where would you like to advertise? Do you want to advertise nationally? That's the big question. The smaller question is, we'll take care of New Mexico. That's easy.
We just agree on doing regional.
I kind of like the idea of regional.
Regional,
I
okay.
do. 'Cause I'd really be concerned about a candidate from
New York.
or maybe, you know, how familiar are they with New Mexico? You know, I don't know.
That's fine. Colorado does a wonderful job of advertising our positions for us. I've established a relationship with them. Arizona will advertise. Texas, absolutely not. I'll just tell you
Well,
that right up front.
I will try, though. The last time I
I-
spoke to their executive director, they was putting together a site that other places could purchase a spot on for advertising like that. And I haven't followed up with him on that yet.
So we'll try Texas, but I can guarantee you that Colorado and Arizona, no problem, that we'll be able to advertise in both those states with their professional organizations, with their counterpart to the School Boards Association and their counterpart to the administrators.
And isn't New Mexico growing superintendents? Is there some type of
There
program
is
that
a-
New Mexico has?
There is an Aspiring Superintendent's Academy. I am proud to tell you that I was part of the group that put that together for the state
Thank
at
you.
the time.
I don't.
But what I remember hearing is that something like 43 graduates from that program have become New Mexico superintendents.
Absolutely. And we'll get bushes. I mean, we will make phone calls. We've got some candidates that have applied for other jobs, other positions in the state, and they haven't been a good match for whatever reason. And so, but we were impressed with them. So we'll make some phone calls too. We'll ask people, if you know of anyone that you would like to invite to apply, please let us know. Please do not contact them directly. We can do that for you. So call me, text me, email me, whatever you want, and say, hey, could you make sure that Linda Paul gets an application? And I'll be sure that Linda Paul gets an application.
This will be published on your website
Yes,
as well.
oh, absolutely. Your Facebook page, your
Elsa
Insta, all
will
of that.
probably receive phone calls, but we'd ask her again to refer those to
Right.
our site for the information.
Sure.
Where's the integrity in that though? If I call you and say, hey, can you send an application to my buddy over here?
Well, your
There's
buddy
no
has to go,
integrity in that. Why would a board ask you to put somebody on a list?
maybe they saw somebody at a conference. Maybe they sat next to an aspiring superintendent
I
at
don't,
a school.
like.
Okay, all right, that's fine. No, okay, no problem. We'll get you your candidates then. But they would have to compete. I mean, even if you guys gave me a name and we gave them the application, number one, they'd have to decide to apply. And number two, they'd have to compete with everyone else. So
We
it's,
decide to go regional. Bottom line is, we are gonna make that decision.
absolutely, 100%, sir.
We'll be able to see through people. I would think so. I mean, if we
Okay.
do regional and somebody comes in from out of state and just gives us a bunch of BS, we're gonna see through that.
100%, yeah.
So I don't think there's any issue going regional.
Okay. And the other nice thing is with using, the next question I'm going to ask you is, do you want to use an advisory committee?
I feel that we should. That's my opinion.
I think it's a good idea.
I think the community
least the-
needs to have
yeah.
a say in this. This is a very important decision for this community. They need to have a say.
What do you want that to look like then? A single committee, maybe up to 15? We can handle 15 people in a committee. In
I
that
think
case,
it should be
if
staff
you're going to
members.
have a single committee,
Board
what we
member.
would ask you guys to do is maybe, and I apologize, I use the term guys, I mean that no disrespect, I promise you.
Take it.
You folks.
None
We
taken.
would ask you perhaps to submit the name of a staff member, a parent, and a community leader. And if there's overlap, we would probably ask Elsa to say, hey, Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Marquez, you suggested the same individual. So would one of you want to get in touch with somebody else to invite them? What, go ahead,
Would it
sir.
be best to send out an invitation?
Well, I would prefer that you called them and said, hey, I'm going to recommend you or nominate you or whatever. Would you be willing to do it? And then they're not going to get a cold call from us. We would want contact information that you'd provide, email and phone, so that we can keep them up to date on what's going on too.
So you want a community member, a staff member?
I'm asking you whether you would be comfortable with having one committee of 15 people
Yes.
that was spread among those. Now, as Linda said, there'll be people that are wearing multiple hats. But if we can get that kind of representation, you'll get good feedback.
Well, of course.
I agree.
But what were the three things?
Staff,
A
Staff,
staff
community, and
member,
parent.
a
community,
parent member, and a community member.
knowing that they're gonna have
Correct.
lots of hats.
And, you don't have to give them all of the information in an invitation. It can simply be, hey, we're putting together this group and, you know, you'll hear from our consultants and they'll lay the things out for you and when you're going to need to be here and when you're going to need to be there. We would take care of that if you give us the names and the contact information.
I am so thankful.
But
I'm
when
s-
do you need those names?
That's what we're going to get
That's
on
what
the
we're gonna figure
calendar
out right now. How about if we could have those names by September 12th? Does that give you enough time? Okay,
What?
Somebody's taking
And
track of all this.
and we'll
would ask
send
you
you some
to-
follow-up
are
emails.
are
with
you
all of
okay?
this in
September
it.
12th.
I've got it. I'll
are you
send
okay
yes.
with helping us track
Email.
that? Thank you.
And we'll send out an email with all of this in it so that,
And we would just email you or call?
perfect, either one,
Email,
whatever you want.
email's on here, correct?
Yes, it is
Okay,
linda.paul@live.com. Easy, easy. All right, so I have two more comments about the advisory committee, and I'm so proud of you for choosing the advisory committee. Number one is, as Mr. Montez said, you can sustain being like who you're not, usually for a good hour during an interview. Really hard to do with 2 hours, really hard to do. So the more times you have them interview on that day, the real person emerges. And that's who you want, because that's who's going to show up here on January 1st or whenever. So we want you to see the real person. So multiple interviews helps that happen, number one. And number two, let's face it, you get all the complaints. You get everything about the coaches. You get everything about the teacher. You get every complaint within 10 miles of any school. This is one in your career as a school board member where you can make a positive phone call and you can say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, I really value your opinion. I'd like to nominate you to sit on this committee. And so it's one time that you can do something nice. And trust me, people are blown away when they get that call from you. They are so appreciative and they're so humbled and they're so excited to serve. They come ready, they bring their notebooks, they're so excited. And so to give that, to open up the board to that type of input, you're still making the decision and we're clear about that. But you're also saying to the community, we value your voice. We value what you have to say. So much so that we're including you as part of this process.
Why don't you just take a minute and describe the way we would get feedback from them
Yes,
after the
sure.
interviews? I think
Did you have a
that's
question
important.
before I continue? No?
This will only take another minute, but I think it's really important to hear.
We structure a survey or a feedback form. So people can use their phones, they can use their computer. We have hard copies for them. So whatever modality they want to use, they answer the questions. And at the end of the day, then we can sort that. Like, here's what the parents said, here's what the students, or here's what the community members said, here's what the staff said. So you can break it down if you want by a group or look at it all together. So we're going to ask them things like I mentioned earlier, how do you think they communicate? How do you think that they're going to handle finances? And our final question is, if this person is not your first choice, but the board selects that person, can you work with them? And 99 out of 100 say yes, because they recognize you have to make that decision. You have access to information they will never have access to. So we state that very clearly, and we continue to reinforce that because they don't get the background information. They don't get the application. We'll give them a resume, we'll give them the cover letter, and we give them the interview. But you have so much more than those three pieces of
The
data.
feedback on that Survey Monkey, Linda will break it down into graphs. So you can see as the chart goes on this skill area, 80% of the people said they were a 5, blew it away. On this question about, personnel management, this person was rated a 2 and this person was rated a 4. You'll see that in a chart and it starts to really give you an impression about, wow, this candidate was consistently at the highest point, or this candidate sucked, according to the feedback that we were providing you.
So I think we're down to salary.
I have a question.
Of course.
As you're getting the applicants in and you do not do background checks till we say we want 1 through 5? Or are you doing background checks as they come through?
Can I answer that? We won't do it on everybody. And the reason for that is that some candidates don't necessarily want their current district to know that they're applying elsewhere. But if they're invited to come in for an interview, we're going to make sure that district or supervisor knows that that person has applied and has been selected as a finalist.
So then on October 8th, when we come, on October 15th, when we come in to review the applications and we select the 3, 4, 5, however many we select. At that time, then you'll do background checks and reference checks on those candidates that we select.
Yeah.
What I can also tell you, though, is if there are candidates in that pool that we already know something about, like the gentleman that I described who wouldn't have been hired again to pick up something in the front yard, we'll share that with you so that we're not wasting your time. If we've already seen a candidate or we've done checks on them and we know how another board reacted to them, we're going to share that with you.
Okay.
And also, say for instance, okay, that we have 5. We do a background check. The minute you get a hit on something, you'll relay that right away to check, completely check them off. Correct?
Let me make sure I understood. So let's say I do a background check and somebody's on the sex offender site. Absolutely
Cross
done.
out.
Yep. Period.
We
End
don't
of story.
read that.
We will not interview
Okay.
that person. Absolutely not.
reason.
No, exactly. Yeah. That, and I have to say that we generally don't get that because
Yeah.
people who are looking for a superintendent position know that they're going to be vetted. But that being said, I will shut my mouth at this point. because we all know.
I'll give you a real life example. We found out, and the individual was serving as the interim superintendent in this district at the time, but hadn't been in the district forever, had come in from out of state. Linda found that that individual had been in a lawsuit with the previous district in the other state. Now, the New Mexico district obviously didn't find that out when they had hired that person to be the high school principal and then allowed that person to become the interim superintendent.
That's
But
what we
when we
need to know.
reported that to the board, it was like, the board said, I don't even want to know what the lawsuit between the district and that person was. I just don't want to deal with anybody that's going to sue me as a board member. So-
Now, that being said, I have to tell you that for me personally, since I'm a retired superintendent, if you were to ask me, have I been sued? My answer is yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, I was a superintendent for 6 years. So I've been sued, but I can show you those court cases, the resolution, all of that information because I was sued in my capacity as superintendent.
And she didn't sue the district, she represented the
right,
district in the
right.
lawsuit.
So I just want to throw a caution out there that just because they've been named in a lawsuit doesn't mean that they're off the list. I mean, we have to use some good common sense and some good discretion. But practicing superintendents get sued as part of their job. And so.
Under indictment for something, that's a different story.
That would be a little different.
Yes, yes. And that's why I said specifically earlier, we look at the criminal side and we look at the civil side. Because both tell you about the individual. All right, salary. Mr. Sullivan, I think that's the last thing on our list.
Well,
I think we have to be competitive when it comes to sales.
Yeah, I'm not sure what other districts this size or in the area are pretty
I
much.
can tell you. They're offering about approximately 150 right now.
that is absolutely correct. We have seen districts offer less and the individual that was offered the job was still thrilled. But you want to have a range, not a hard number, because that, if you're willing to give somebody the higher end of that range, they better have knocked your socks off in the interview.
And they better be bringing a lot of good experience. But if you that's why I agree with Mr. Sullivan, a range, like you could say 130 to 155 or.
55 or whatever. Do you
How
want
big
to
is,
put-
how big is Bloomfield?
About 3,000.
About 3,000?
Students.
So twice the size.
Yeah, about 2,500 now.
2,500 now. Okay.
How many students do you have?
12.
12.
Wow.
Right. That gives you a
And they're at.
But we're also thinking if you're coming with more
145,
experience, that's why the range, right? The
Right, if somebody,
experience.
if they
Yeah.
knock your socks off, if they've been a successful superintendent elsewhere, they can show you the data. We'll go with the
Well,
higher
please,
end.
yeah.
If this is your first opportunity and you've never been a superintendent before, convince us that we should go any higher than the bottom end of that range.
I would say 145 to 160 myself.
145.
What is the superintendent getting paid right now?
That would be a good thing to work from.
We could say that in public, right? It's public.
Oh, sure, of course you can.
154, I believe.
Okay, that sounds, actually, that sounds really good to go for 145 to 160 because he had been here several years,
Yeah.
correct? So you've been giving him raises over the years. So I think a 145 to 160 is very fair. What do you think, Mr. Sullivan?
I do. And, what really drove superintendent salaries was when the state set a minimum for high school principals, really. High school principals now, it's 60% above the level 3 teacher. So it had gone to 112. Level 3 had become 70,000, and then 60% on top of that was 112.
I know.
Become
several
70,000.
superintendents at 154 right now in the region.
There's some principals making 115.
Yeah, 115, high school principals at 120.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
25 minimum.
that's what made the
Yeah.
if you're paying your principal 115 or 120, then that's what drives the
Yeah,
other.
you're gonna have a hard time getting a qualified superintendent when the principal's making that much money.
Everybody comfortable with that range?
145 to
160.
60?
I would say so.
All right, that brings us to just a few logistics. I would ask if you could send me or both of you, send me a clean copy of the logo that I can use, for publications. And then any pictures. I tried to get some pictures from your website. Maybe I could work with your tech person because it was beyond my skills to pull it off. So if we could work together, photographs, we want to be legal with using children's images and we don't have to. We can use buildings, we can use fields, we can use the area, blah, blah, blah. But we're all in this business for kids. And so there's something nice to have at least a couple of pictures of kids. But-
Pretty much every district does it. We just don't have names. of
Right.
the
Oh, no, we
pictures,
would
so-
never publish their names, but we want to be respectful of families. So if families have said, no, don't publish my kid's picture, that, we don't know that. And so we will ask for pictures from the district if you guys could. Yes,
I
sir.
do have one question real quick. When it comes to photographs, when we do our high school graduation, they have an opt-out to
Good,
be able
good.
to do that. Is this something that we need to get the parents' permission, that you want parents' permission that yes, you can use? Or
That's up to you. As long as they haven't opted out, I mean, probably your registration documents have that question on there.
Yeah.
Something about
Yeah.
photographs, do you
Okay.
want your child's photograph used or not used? And so that's the only thing I'm referring to is if a family has said, no, don't publish it, then let's not publish it. There's probably hundreds of other kids
Right.
that the families are comfortable with. And like I said, no names, they'll just be from Hatch. Sir.
Question about the applications. We're thinking that we would go with those applications on October the 15th, correct?
I'm so glad you asked.
Now, can we get those emailed to us?
Yes.
Because that's a lot to type.
I'm sorry, I
Oh.
didn't mention that. I apologize. So now that we have the dates, what'll happen is the position will close on October 3rd. And by October 6th or 7th, but I'm going to aim for the 6th, I'll have those applications ready for you. And what I do is I set up a Dropbox folder because hopefully there'll be many to look at. So I set up a Dropbox folder and you all get the link to the Dropbox folder. So you can review those applications at your leisure. That gives you a little over a week to do that. The other thing is, again, you've got a dynamo here, and if you would rather work from hard copies, we can work with Ms. Ramirez and we can get hard copies made. The only thing that I ask is that all of this is going to remain confidential. And so if you feel more comfortable using technology, great. If you feel more comfortable hard copy, we'll make that happen for you. But we're just gonna ask that you be respectful of everybody else and keep that
I know I
confidential.
would like a hard copy myself personally.
Yes,
I
I
know
would
a hard
rather
copy.
have a hard copy.
Yeah,
so.
so
Okay,
you
we'll
can
make that
make
happen,
notes
sure.
on
We
it,
can
all
work
those
together.
kinds of good things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is going to be a homework assignment for you
Yes.
folks
Oh, yeah.
to be ready for that. And
Definitely.
the other thing, I think we show it on the timeline. It would be very helpful to us, I'm being honest about this now, if the night that you guys were going to be doing the screening, if we could have that orientation meeting with the advisory groups that you've given us. So that we,
Yeah, we
so
have
we
to
would
wait
do
ahead of
that, we would do that maybe at 4 o'clock and then be with you guys at 6 or something of that nature or whatever. Something that we could do back to back and be in here, be in the district for the largest block of time on one day.
So that would be the 15th. We would start at 4, then.
Perfect. Oh, that'd be lovely. The 15th, we could start at
No, I
4.
don't know.
Well, I was thinking of for
The advisory group.
Oh, for the advisory.
advisory.
How about we start at 5?
Advisory.
Advisory at 4 and then the board at 5?
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
On the 15th, right?
Correct.
And then special board meeting at 5.
Yes, and so you'll have those applications ahead. Forgive me for not saying that earlier. And you can take notes on it if you want, if you feel comfortable. I'm happy to collect those and shred those or collect them and put them in the box. When we work with the attorneys, from the Cuddy firm, when we work with the attorneys from Walsh Gallegos, those Tony Ortiz's firm, they know us. And so what we've started to do now is we don't shred anything anymore. We put it in the box and then I keep the box. And the attorney, if the attorney ever needs it, then I deliver it to the attorney. And so this way you can say, honestly, I don't have those applications. I don't have that paperwork. Please call our consultant and we'll deal with it. And they know that. So any questions that you want to refer to us, by all means, refer to us. That's part of what you're paying for, is to have somebody that you can turn things over to and say, you go deal with that, please. And we will. We'll ask that the district pay for lunch that day, the day of the interviews. And again, we'll work with the secretary to make sure that, we use whoever you want us to use and all of that good stuff. But we'll take care of all the logistics.
When we were talking about advertising before, I forgot to ask you, is there any print media in the region that you guys post your information about board meetings, for example? You have an obligation to post by a certain time in certain places. Do you use the Las Cruces Sun or anything like that for any of your purposes? T or C. So that might, I don't know whether that's an expensive ad or. No, but so if you have to do that, then that would be another small expense. But other than that, you've said regional. I talked to Mr. Gonzalez about AASA. That is national. I don't know that we've gotten a whole lot of response from it.
You say you want.
Yes.
Regional.
But if we have to do that local paper, because that's part of what you have to do, I don't know, do we have to post it? Do we have to advertise an opening like that? Or is that just for you guys doing your meetings? I'll look into that. If we don't have an obligation to have this posted with the TRC paper, do you care? Okay.
Any additional questions for us?
Not a question, but I'm excited about the advisory committee.
Oh, good.
Good.
Oh, I'm so glad. I am too. I love working with them. Tom usually takes it and I get not to work with them, but they're wonderful people and they're so excited to be here. So
Well, I'm kind of speaking about the community members.
Yeah,
the
that's what I
parents,
mean.
Yes.
yes, absolutely.
It's a good
Any-
idea.
The mayor, the city council, I mean, the village administrators, whoever, your community.
Who's your
And we
local
don't.
state representative?
Right.
I mean,
We've had state legislators on our interview committees.
we worked in communities where tribal leadership was an extremely important piece of their teams.
No, we love doing it and I'm excited too. I think Hatch has got so much going for it. You guys have such a great community. And I have been nothing but impressed with the people that I've dealt with here and I'm just excited. I
We-
think we're gonna have a good search.
We just wish Sparky's was open on Wednesdays. We didn't realize.
Sorry, could you do something about the restaurants?
I don't know if you know the northern part of the state, but we ran into the same thing. We're from the Northwest, but going through Cuba, El Bruno's is my favorite restaurant. It was closed every time we went through it.
But, and we'll spend the night before the interviews and the night of the selection, so that.
How many do we usually select? 3 to 4?
3 to 5.
Oh, 3 to
5 is a stretch. 4 is a great number
Okay.
because the interview matrix breaks out nicely, but you know,
Okay,
it's
so
whatever
3 to
you,
4.
yeah, if you're not comfortable with, you know, narrowing it down further, whatever you want to do.
Okay, really?
2 that risen to the top and the board said, that's all we want to see. So it just depends. I'm not, oh, one other thing, I'm sorry.
And I just thought of one other thing too. We're always doing it.
Better not, notes I bring. Thinking one other thing. Now I forgot my one other thing. Go ahead, you go.
I don't remember mine either. You're gonna have to go first.
Okay, I'll just end it there. Say if there's something else, we will be in touch. Oh, I know, updates. Once we post the position, we will send you weekly updates in writing. So that you have a regular touchstone, you know, we received 2 applications this week, we received 5 applications this week. We're not going to release the names ahead of time because people sometimes withdraw up until the last minute. So we would rather release the names, as I said, on the 6th or 7th. To you, but we'll keep you appraised about what's going on, how many people we've seen, how many applications we've sent out. I track it all. I mean, we do a good job of tracking those and making sure that if they ask for an application, they get an application. And if they don't get it back, you know, we're on the email saying, I noticed you picked up an application. We'd like to see it. So we hound them, do all that good stuff. And we will touch base with, we will touch base with your HR people, just so that they don't freak out thinking we're doing something super secret and not including them, because they typically do all of this work as well in the district, and we love them and we want them doing what they're doing. Is that you?
That's her too.
I'm the HR. All right, well, consider yourself touch based. No, we'll talk, you and I'll talk about that, but it's not that we're not valuing those people, it's just, we've done this a long time, and if we can monitor the process from start to finish, then we're more confident in the outcome, the product that you receive. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your
so
time.
much.
Thank
for
you.
your
Thank you for
energy.
watching.
And thank you
And,
guys, really, thank
We
you.
look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And-
Okay, finally, item number 3, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I moved.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion, meeting adjourned.
Can I leave these with you? I'll get it. These are 2 copies of a contract. I've gone ahead and signed it with that date.